going to dive right in. We're talking about ADHD, which this entire starting experience, the definition of ADHD.
What is it?
Yeah.
So we have with us today Anne Vahle. I'm super excited to have you join us.
Thank you.
We've been working together for how many years?
A
lot.
So many. Lots of years.
Lots of years. And so you are a licensed clinical professional counselor in Vahle, and part of Mindshift Center. So glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And
You both just looked directly at me. I was like, guys, I don't know where we're going with
That
this.
means it's your turn.
Well, today we're talking about ADHD, and that's all I know. So, someone else's turn.
So this is something that I think a lot of people reach out to us about with questions, looking for assessments and services for their children. And many of us also experience this in our own households, since it is one of the most common childhood challenges that people experience. And then, of course, many of us are still dealing with some attention issues in adulthood. So thought we'd dive in and sort of talk about what does this look like, showing up in what different ways, how does attention issues, and we'll talk about the whole sort of span, because I don't know about you, Anne, but I like to talk about attention issues. And sometimes that that obviously includes full diagnoses of ADHD, but sometimes people just experience some challenges that they have to find some ways to identify and adapt so that they can be the way that they want to be.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess maybe let's start with you, especially being fresh out of college and I guess still in a program. Like, how do you see ADHD showing up, especially in those college age students? And I guess I'm asking that, making an assumption that you do.
And maybe it's not ADHD, but traits. And that's something that I've appreciate you guys have mentioned before, that it may not be a full diagnosis, but things that you might casually call ADHD or challenges in attention. Is that how you put it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like attention, getting things done.
So task completion.
Yeah. That's
the biggest way that you saw that some of the students in your classes sometimes. And did you see some people struggle with it more than others?
Yeah.
So let me ask this. What's the difference between underdeveloped study skills and executive functioning, ADHD kinds of things? Is that worth?
I don't pay that much attention to people.
Because you're focused on yourself and doing your own thing. Trying to get your own stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can talk a little bit, I think, sometimes about some of the things that I see, which is, and some of this goes back to some experiences that I had in a K-12 school, too, when I would see some of these issues, which is being able to find the work that they did. Like, as a teacher, you saw them doing the work. Like, there was physical proof. And yet it didn't get turned in. So where's it at? Oh, okay. So I would see that quite a bit. And then especially, and I would see this in some of the younger ages too, but there was oftentimes, because some days students would forget to take their medication, right? Extra hectic mornings. And to see the work on the days that they had medication versus days that they did not, there would be a very clear distinction between that, which again reinforces the idea that they probably need some extra assistance with that.
So initiating a task, staying on the task, and completing the task are all different things.
Those are a lot, and I think that's where it gets a lot and overwhelming for people. And I mean, I think you've even sort of seen this with some of your own. So so then it's like, what is typical that people struggle with, right? Wrapping your head around an assignment, getting started. And I think that can be challenging for most people. And that's not oftentimes specific to individuals with attention issues.
Sure. And I do see the teachers who are handling that in the classroom. Those are part of the skills that they're teaching naturally with, okay, so here's the assignment. I want you to write a paper, and here's the breakdown of all the steps of how to do this. So how do you organize your thoughts? How do you break it down into different sections? And then let's work through it together. So it is developmental. It's part of it. It's just learning how to do those everyday things. But then sometimes there's more problems that come into play.
Well, and I think, right, because ADHD is part of the neurotypical, neurodivergent, brain thinking. And so, even talking about how, these amazing teachers who try to step by step. And I don't know about you, but even as faculty, I'm like, and I gave you a video. I've spelled it out. Why is it not making sense yet? But a lot of times, either in whether it's the attention span or some of the anxious thinking, and that's another thing I think with ADHD, we oftentimes see some co-occurring anxiety. And again, whether these are anxiousness and attention issues versus full-blown disorders, just somewhere on the spectrum there is traits versus full. But a lot of times their head is they're not wrapping their head around it in the exact same way, in those linear step-by-step type of thing, because they need their brains, individuals with ADHD, a lot of times their brains are functioning so fast and the thoughts are occurring faster than they can get things down on paper or out verbally and so forth. And so sometimes the linear types of things aren't always when they're able to do it independently, always helpful. And so that's why sometimes the anchoring, let's sit down, and so we'll use anchoring techniques, or even a person sitting with them can help stay focused.
As a constant reminder of the task that's at hand. And I think what you were talking about with the nonlinear thinking and the busy brain, sometimes I talk about it as your fast brain, your brain is all over the place. And ADHD is not a deficit, even though it's in the name is terrible, but it's more of I focus on too many things all at the same time. And so thoughts are all over the place. Yeah. And so then it goes into the mode of creative thinking because of that nonlinear. I don't just go from A to B, I go to A to Z to Y to X and all over the place and in between, and have many more conclusions and many more great ideas. But then oh, wait, you were wanting B? Oh, yeah, let's get back to that.
And that can be, and I think what you said, sometimes the creativity and the geniusness of what's happening in the brain, it's awesome. And how do you help pull that out?
Especially when the educational system is not designed for brains that function like this.
Yeah.
They're designed normally for the neurotypical developing brain.
Yeah. I know we've been going back and forth. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Because we can get jazzed up about this topic.
Angel and I can talk about this back and forth all day long, swap facts. So how does this apply to you and your life and your phase of life?
I don't know.
So also, have you seen it? Have you seen people who really struggle in high school and college that that might be something that's happening, that they don't realize that they're not able to have that linear thinking, or all the executive functioning things aren't quite fully formed yet?
I mean, probably.
So we're talking about sort of the academic performance and the creativity and some of the geniuses that can come out of it. But let's be real. It can be extremely frustrating living with it on a day-to-day basis.
Let me tell you about my morning. I put on a super cute outfit. I was ready to go. I knew exactly where the shoes I wanted to wear were. They were downstairs in the entryway. I walk downstairs. I try and find them. I can't find them because your husband moved them. And now they are nowhere in the house. I searched the entire first floor and they are no but where.
And so then this begets the question, where's the attention issues coming in? Are we talking about you? Are we talking about your dad?
Let's be real. Because I promise you if I asked him where they are, he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know.
I mean, in full transparency, and I don't think anybody in our house would be upset with me mentioning it. Like, there's a lot of attention challenges in our house.
Okay, so can we switch from the academic, and we didn't even talk about the behavioral stuff, but the academic presentation of ADHD. Let's talk about the home, functioning in the home when ADHD is present.
Well, it's like always walking into the kitchen and the cabinet doors are open.
It's like, not me, I swear.
I mean, sometimes when you have multiple people in the household, it's like you don't even like point fingers anymore because, quite honestly, it could have been any one of us, you know? So I think that this was one thing because it's really frustrating. I've given up on like half empty soda cans or, it's like.
Or throw pillows on the couches.
Throw pillows on the couches.
They never get put back. Like, how hard is it just to put the throw pillows back? But the pillows and blankets are always on the floor when you're walking by. And it's like, I've put these back like 5 times today.
And so my question is, that is important to whom?
I think it's going to be important, especially parenting ADHD.
Okay.
It's showing up all over in the house. And I think I've had to really think about what's important and what do I just need to let go, right? So the soda cans, I've just sort of like, whatever. Like, you pour them out and you throw them away. And let me just tell you, the amount of like wrappers, like seriously, like here's the trash can. So, and then you have to sort out like what's normal kid stuff because
I was just thinking that
could be this is just kids in general and maybe not specific. But we did have to like teach specific skills, for instance, right? Because, and we talked about earlier, the multiple steps. So when you go to pour a glass of milk, how to teach them, do not set the gallon of milk down. Like, we had to learn the milk stick goes from the refrigerator. You pour, you never set it down, and then it goes back into the refrigerator because, when you've got a gallon of milk that's been left on the counter and now you can't use it. I know.
Nope.
But you can't use it. So then you're pouring it out, but then you don't have the milk for what else you need to be making for your meals and stuff. So that's
a problem.
That's a problem. So one, the waste, of course, but then the other big part is like, now we got to stop and we're a busy household and who has time to go to the store, but we don't have quite enough what we need to pull together a meal and so forth. So that's just one very vivid example of how we had to like work with them because you don't want them to be frustrated because that's the other thing. Like, oh, man, I left the milk out again. And then they feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like they're not, you don't want to impact their self-esteem because it's just how their brain works. Like, you get it. But we also know a lot of times with attention issues, when there's a lot of problematic types of things, they can start to feel really bad about themselves and get onto themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So instead of continuing on, I'll link this back to the shoes. Your boots. Mm-hmm. Did you feel bad about yourself with this instance? Did your mind go to the place of, this always happens, I'm such a disaster, and those kinds of things? No,
my mind went to the place of, Russell, what did you do with my shoes?
It's always a thing in our house. So like,
sometimes he will take my shoes from the kitchen and put them in like the corner of the living room.
Okay. Okay.
And so it's sort of a joke. Like even my mom does this, like, all right, let's think like Russ.
Yes.
And we try. And sometimes we get it.
This morning I did not. I had to go change my outfit.
And you can't be upset because like he was just being helpful. But I do think this is one of those like constantly feeling like you're going over the chaos. Like, am I going crazy? Like it was just here.
Yes. And what kind of impact does that have on everybody when things aren't the way that they're supposed to be and like the functioning, things aren't in place for the systems to run smoothly, for you to get your outfit and get out the door. And then there's frustration and then there's aggravation with other people in the family.
I just learned to accept it. And I wasn't aggravated. I was just like, come on, my dude. What the heck?
Well, not everybody has that kind of chill approach.
There are times.
Like there could be moments of meltdown, but for the most part, I think we've tried to be like, this is just who, like this is just how things roll. And, you can be mad and upset, but it doesn't solve anything.
Well, I'm still in training with my young ones. So here's one strategy that I'm trying out. This is experimental. This is in the experimental phase right now, is I found myself saying some variety of, it's not complete because it drives me crazy when things get done to like 80% or 85%, 90%. And then like it's walked away on and it's like, wow, it was close enough to being done. And so like the rewards were there. And so like then the person left, but like, it's not done. It's not done. So I found myself saying, you need to do the third step, which is, the prepare for it, do it, and then put stuff away, like clean up afterwards, turn around. Is the cabinet door closed? Is the milk in the fridge? Like that's the third step. So I'm trying to instill this, like everything has 3 steps. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's groundbreaking. Maybe it's nothing, but this is what I found myself trying at the moment. I mean, in addition to all the other things, we do all the things.
Yeah. I mean, I think any tricks and tips that you have, especially as the mom, your kids best and you know what they need. And I think that's I don't think there's one magic answer for every kid out there, every adult who's dealing with some of these challenges. I think it's figuring out what works for them as an individual. And then also, and this has always been an interesting learning opportunity for me, is having twins, which is just because you might have 2 people, right?
Yeah.
They're very different and they always have needed very different things from parenting, from their teachers and so forth. One responds really well to structure and those very specific instructions like you're saying. And then the other one would much more prefer some sort of nurturing engagement, like understanding the why behind doing what it is.
Sure.
Right. So the rules didn't matter so much to him as much as, well, why? Why does having that cabinet door open, what harm is it causing? And so,
which tells me that he engages with the information in a different way. And so he has to wrap his mind around it and then put it in a place that makes sense to him.
Right. And I think this, just saying, like, as a parent, that's what and even as teachers, like what works for one is not going to work for the other, even if they are both struggling with maybe some of the same attention challenges or what have you.
Here's another fun fact to throw in here. What works for one may not work forever. So then
yes,
the strategies have to change.
Yes.
So, and that's part of, with ADHD, there's this novelty seeking, this need to be like having this new information. And so one strategy will get boring.
I think that's a really good point. And I think that's with your children in general, let alone any particular challenges that they might be having, is just because it's worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work today or in the future. Yeah. And so what I usually tell people is like, you're parenting this child at this age and this time in their life for the first time. There's that constant evolution that we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment, Victoria.
Never a dull moment.
I'm guessing, too, that you have, we've talked about some of the different academic and sort of task completion chores, but just even how it shows up in relationships with other people.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the differences in individuals who maybe have some attention challenges and how they relate with you?
You're having me do a lot of thinking, and I haven't had coffee.
I have some peppermint tea.
No, it's okay.
No coffee. You didn't stop?
I'm going to stop on my way to the lake. Yeah.
This wasn't a twofer day.
No, not today. Okay, well, I went to Target because I did.
Yes.
Yes. And the Starbucks was closed.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Was it because the water?
Oh, a lot of places are closed today. Oh,
The boil order?
the boil order.
This is filtered water.
Yeah, I did not use filtered water. I just used tap. I might.
You're already down for the count.
Yeah.
I'm down, man.
A little.
We'll see if I make it through the night now.
You'll be okay.
I mean, it did go through the coffee thing, so I would imagine it's...
No.
It got
No.
heated up.
Okay,
It got heated up.
If you're warming up contaminated water,
It's not the
It's
same.
killing some amount of bacteria.
is it?
I think so.
So
Anyways.
apparently our listeners need to tune in next week to see if I make it, because I did know about the boil order. I read about it. Y'all, this is what I'm talking about. Attention challenges.
You attended to it, but then where did the information go?
Yeah, right out the window as I was putting the tap water into the coffee pot.
Oh, Lord.
It tasted fun. Everything's going to be tasting off a little bit anyway because of a little bit of a head cold. How long will I know before I make it or not?
I don't know. We'll see next week.
We'll see. We'll see. I think the next 24 hours is really pivotal. But this is but this is why you did not probably get your coffee, as a lot of the coffee shops are closed today.
I didn't even look anywhere else. Because it was like, let's get some on the way out of town.
No, I saw multiple things. Like, yes,
Well, it's a
even
good thing I
Carter's.
didn't make my coffee this morning because I had no clue about the boil order.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to make my coffee, but...
Right? And I had this thought. If I was a good mom, I would have texted you all to like, hey, there. And I had this thought I was going to do that. Like, hey, y'all, there's a boil order. But I was like, what are they going to be boiling or drinking out water? But I had this thought, like, I should let you all know this, but I did not. And then proceeded to drink the water myself.
Yep.
Okay. I obviously can benefit from a little bit more mindfulness today and getting a little more centered and thinking about what are the things people need to know.
So, getting back to ADHD, let's take this back on track. I got nothing, so I'm gonna go.
All right. So our best bet right now is you're saying Anne.
Okay. What do you want to? I'll keep talking.
Where do we want to go with it? Mm-hmm. Well, I guess let's talk about, what do you share with parents who are wondering how to best support some of, their child?
Well, I think I talk more to clients than I do other parents because as a parent, I have not figured it out. So I don't feel compelled to say, this is the answer, guys. I got it. I got it all figured out, because I do not. But as a professional, I can guide and teach and help people understand what's going on. So from, my grade school age, high school age, grade school age, all the way up till, full adulthood, I have people that are coming to me. A lot of people come to me for anxiety, but what I see a lot of, I think I mentioned to you, I see a lot of co-occurring ADHD.
Yes.
And once upon a time, ADHD was not acknowledged, definitely not acknowledged for girls, but not acknowledged or understood as much as it is now. So I hear adults saying, I have ADHD and no formal diagnosis, but I would have been diagnosed as a kid. And then will be telling me stories of what their, school was like for them or other challenges at home.
So I think that either undiagnosis or misdiagnosis is extremely common with ADHD, right? I think a lot of times people see it as, the behavior problem. And that's not always true, right? Because just because there's a kid who won't sit still and won't follow directions, that does not necessarily mean they have ADHD. It could be, but instead it's like what's going on and how are they thinking, how are they processing and engaging in other things. So that's, I think, really important. But I think the other thing that you mentioned, and this is sometimes the pressure we can put on ourselves as professionals, wanting to make certain we're giving parents the right answer and this and that. But a lot of times I find I don't have the answer. As a mental health professional, I have a lot of ideas. I know a lot of the things being expert in my area, but I also find that the parent is the expert in their kid and the individual is one of the best experts. Like, this is how my brain works. And that was a big part that I had to do, I think, as a parent, is really help my children, or at least I attempted to, like, how is it working? Like, how does your brain work when you're looking or processing some of this stuff, so that they knew how they learned best or how things were different, because then I would know how I could advocate. Like, I was blown away when my, talking with my son, and he was a little bit older, like as an adolescent, but he was telling me, right, because one of the challenges, and I think he would be okay with me sharing this, it took him longer to read things. And so, one time he was talking it, as he was reading, he had to turn everything into a movie in his head, and we're talking like full blown colored movie. And I'm like, holy cow, like that's like, I was a little bit awed by that. Like, seriously, like, you're taking this and you're making this movie in your head about what's happening. Whereas, somebody who probably, like, for me, I feel like I read fairly quickly and I'm processing it at a different rate, but I'm not turning everything into a movie. I mean, there's movies going on in my head that while I'm reading, but they may not be pertaining to what I'm actually reading. And so I think that's the biggest thing I would say is, like, understand how your brain is functioning in the moment and what it needs to be most successful for the tasks at hand. And those tasks can be very different too. So I know we're talking like a lot of like clinical lingo a little bit today, and you sort of sometimes are
I'm over here like playing movies in your head while reading isn't a thing.
Is that what happened for you too?
Yeah.
Like sidebar movies?
No.
Or as you're visualizing what you're reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's cool. I love hearing people describe the way their brains work. Like, I feel like everybody has these like funny little things that they do, or like how they visualize or not visualize things.
She most recently learned that when I read, words vibrate on pages.
Okay. This might be out of my scope.
I know, but okay. So, do you want to share like when this came up?
Okay, yeah. I'd like to hear this.
During practicum, I was taking an assessment. Pre-prac. No, oh my gosh. During labs. I was taking an assessment for like the IQ test, and I was reading the directions and they started vibrating, and I was like, okay, hold up. I need to lock in, otherwise I'm not going to understand this.
What was your anxiety like? That's my first, clinical question.
Yeah.
You were super chill in that moment.
Yeah.
In that story.
Yeah.
But you were also saying that wasn't unusual.
That's not unusual.
That words vibrate.
Yeah.
Like
shake a little.
Somebody will know the answer to this, or
so
will know the right questions. But this is Yeah, this is not my scope.
But this was new for me too, because I don't know. And this was this summer.
I walked up to her afterwards and I was like, so this is my point difference, basically. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, by the way, this happens.
Well,
by the way.
And you were saying because there was a pretty significant
gap in between my like vocab and my like patterns.
Yeah.
Because that's what the IQ test is made up of. And so basically it's like I have a higher likelihood of having some sort of learning disability, but like not confirmed based off my IQ test, but like that's usually where they would go after.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that.
And she goes, yeah, probably. And I go, oh, thanks. Oh, by the way, words vibrate when I read them.
Right, because I have this large class that I'm teaching in this, and they're administering IQ tests with each other and going through the score. So it's a lot to try to, having the right. In this role, I was the faculty, so not the mom role, and so getting them all through this. But that's one of the things that I'm having them look at is the difference between their vocab or verbal performance and their the block patterns performance. And so the difference in those, when you have a pretty big gap, it could suggest a learning disability. Doesn't mean there is one. It means maybe explore further.
So this does bring me to a couple points that made me think about the complexity. So all the different parts, you have to first take in the information. So like when you're interacting with the world and processing information, you have to be able to perceive it first. So you're saying at the level of vision, there's something going on, good or bad or indifferent, who knows?
Right, with the way you're processing that information.
So right at that step.
The things are shaking. I know.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever heard. And this is the first time I'm also hearing that you, when you're reading, have to turn things into a movie.
I don't have to turn things into a movie. But like if I'm going to like process it entirely, it just automatically happens.
Ooh, this makes me think.
Like I can read and like read the words, but they don't do anything for me. They don't stick in my brain unless it's like being turned into something.
Into a visual. And look how much, sorry for hitting your microphone, look how much of a visual person you are.
Right. But yes. And you're also, you're more auditory, aren't you?
No, I'm visual.
You're a visual? Okay. So,
I mean, I can process auditory.
Right.
But your strength, your
visual.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is interesting. So I think if any of our listeners out there look at when you're reading, things vibrate, let us know. We just need to know, is this a Victoria issue?
Is this like a brain tumor? Like, am I okay?
All right, we're going Grey's Anatomy. Full on.
Yep.
We've moved away from Criminal Minds.
Considering this as like multiple years, I don't think it is.
No, but this is because again, I go back and I think as somebody who is immersed in the mental health field, education field and years in special education, I feel like as a mom, I was asking a lot of questions. I was really trying to make certain my kids knew how they did. And I was trying to be curious myself. And how do I get to a point where she's 21 and I didn't know words vibrated on
I'm pretty
sure
like I started recognizing it in like freshman year of high school too.
Well, this is one of those things that it's like fascinating to find out later on, because how do you know that that doesn't happen to everybody? And how would you know to ask that specifically?
Well, based off of like I assume that it didn't happen to everybody because it doesn't happen all the time.
But then I wonder too, how did that impact your wanting to read?
If this probably, I don't like reading.
We know this.
So maybe there's some frustration there already, like even when you think about reading, because you're anticipating maybe this thing is going to happen. Sorry, interrupting.
No, there's no. So whether that goes into some attention issues or plays into it. And I think this goes to something else, which I think you've talked about, which is the interconnectedness of a lot of these different challenges, it's not always one thing. And I think we sort of mentioned, but maybe didn't spend a lot of time on, one of the things when I'm working with somebody who has both a ADHD and anxiety, a lot of times the work we have to do is figure out which is the primary issue, because the treatment can exacerbate the other issue. And so a lot of times, we know ADHD medication can make anxiety or anxiousness symptoms worse. And so we're having to really be vigilant in what we're watching for with those when we're doing treatment. Yeah. I know. What just went through your head as you're hearing this? Because you are about to start your practicum and you want to work with, and it's going to be working with children.
Not a lot went through my head when hearing that.
Did you zone out again?
Were you watching a movie in your brain?
No, I was staring at a spot on the carpet.
We sometimes talk about our attention issues here. And it could be
It's not a Dr. Therapy Mom episode if I don't zone out at least once.
while I'm talking.
Yeah.
And it's usually when I go a little clinically.
Oh, so then you just kind of boop, turn it off.
A little bit.
Okay.
Well, I did know.
Self-preservation. She's got it. This goes back to strategies.
I did know
What
that
works for you?
ADHD medicine can increase anxiety symptoms. I did know that. And so I think I just turned my brain off for a second.
Okay. I say sometimes she hears me as the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, 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 wah. She tunes me out. But I don't know if that's just because I'm the mom. Were you tuning Anne out with some of it?
I don't know. I don't remember the conversation prior to this. Okay, let me tell you, sometimes when recording these episodes, it's just I know the first half of this episode happened, but I don't know what was said, where we went with it.
Well, where's the recall? So then you talk about memory recall. Are you laying down the memories right now to be able to recall them later? Probably not, because you're just letting it flow. So there's nothing that's standing out that you're attending to specifically to say, I need to think about this later.
I have to go listen to this about 3 more times while editing, so I will recall all of this later.
So you don't need to attend to it right now. Got it.
And Anne's over there going, check.
It's okay.
Am I silently diagnosing you? Do I do that to people?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I
I'm
think
definitely not quick to diagnose people. I'm not.
I will say I've been working on a project since August and it's still not done. Your laundry room.
Ooh, I can help you with that. This is what I get excited about.
She does.
And many of my clients have heard me let me get in there. Let's figure out where are those roadblocks and what can we do? Because that excites my creative brain that I'm oh yeah, I can find all the workarounds. You against yourself, how do you get your own self out of the way?
Because this is not typical for you, though. You're
I got
usually
a lot
home.
going on, and I'm also waiting on your husband to do things.
Poor Russ.
And to be fair, when she says your husband, if you have not tuned in before, this is also her father. She just, yes.
I refer to him as her husband, Russell, dad, all of the things.
All the things. But these are one and the same individual.
Yes.
So.
And it all cracks me up.
And so I wonder, you just said you've got a lot of things going on because normally you're sort of on point and you're a good, stick with it, get it done from beginning to end. You typically can, but you typically are only doing 1 or 2 things at a time.
Well, this project is also led by your husband and all his ideas and his ADHD brain that is sort of bouncing around from section to section, and I'm just trying to keep up. I need one section done in order to continue on what I'm doing.
So maybe the question is, Victoria, what is life like in a family home with ADHD present?
Never a dull moment for sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
it affects you disrupts your routines.
I feel like I build my routine around the chaos. I will say sometimes it's very, because your husband, he's like semi-retired. And so when he's home, he wants me to go hang out with him, but I gotta go to work and I gotta go do this and I gotta go do that. And he's like, no, you're coming with me. You gotta do this. So I had to fit all of it together, but around his schedule.
So
That's like the most disruptive part of it.
Because I'm just now making the connection. I don't know how I did not do this before, because you talked a lot in these episodes of needing to be entertained. And yet I've always said this about your dad, like he needs people and he needs company and he needs to be entertained.
Oh,
I'm just realizing you are your dad.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I'm also you in a lot of ways.
Yes. When we have said, like, you've gotten the best of both of us.
I've gotten the worst of both of you also, probably.
Endearingly. Mm-hmm. And so what is it like for you over there, sitting over there, Anne, sort of like sitting down and experiencing maybe some attention challenges?
In the room with me?
Is that what you're saying? Yes.
I'm very comfortable. This is par for the course. And
right, because you work in this every day.
Are you entertained?
I am thoroughly entertained.
See?
Thoroughly entertained. Yes. I have a lot of people in my life who are diagnosable ADHD, and it's fun. Life is fun, exciting, new things, spur of the moment.
Yeah, it just sort of keeps going. And then I do want to go back to, we were talking about, do we diagnose people in our everyday life? And I absolutely do not. Like, in fact, I'm sort of I go maybe more on the other end, which is we all have some of these traits, whether it's the attention issues, the anxiousness, the whatever it is, because that's just part of everyday life. So I actually probably veer on the end of not diagnosing unless you're coming into my office and need diagnosis for insurance reimbursement or what have you, medical necessity.
Sure.
But I tend not to, because I feel like it just makes people feel cringy.
Well, that goes into, it's a label. Why are you labeling people?
Yeah. And there's no point to a label except to tie it with treatment, typically.
Because otherwise you're overgeneralizing, you're putting people in a box, and that's exactly the opposite of what we've been talking about, which is this is an individual experience.
Right. And I mean, and even diagnosis, which you're taking that class right now.
Ooh.
I crashed out yesterday about it.
But she got it.
I did,
but, you know, I'm one of those, like, does the diagnosis matter? And maybe this is a whole different episode. Does the diagnosis matter? Which is like, if I go to the, urgent care, right? You know, if I've got whatever's going on, like I've got a little bit of something that's not to the point where I'm going to the doctor. But if I did, do I need all the tests to tell me exactly what I have? I'm usually going to opt for no. If the treatment is the same, like, does it matter which medication you're going to prescribe? Like, if it matters, then yes, I will. But if it's like, no, it's probably one of these 5 things that we're seeing right now happening, and the medication is the same for all of it, then I'm going to be like, no, I'll take the medicine. It doesn't matter exactly what I have.
I think where my mind jumped to in the middle of your discussion, is the relief that some people get with a diagnosis, though, because without fully understanding it, people often are left feeling like, kids and adults alike, feeling like there's something wrong with me. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm lazy. I'm doing something wrong. I can't figure it out. I'm dumber than everybody else.
Yeah.
This is me. And if somebody's saying, oh, it's not you, it's ADHD, or it's this label, then all of a sudden there's like, oh, I'm not the only one experiencing this.
That's true.
And there's hope in, if this is a label, a diagnosis, that means there is a treatment.
Yes.
Which is hope.
And I think that does make sense, like, to understand what is happening. And I think that helps as long as when they understand themselves, this is what they need to do, right? That personal accountability. And this is what I need from others. This is right. So as a parent, this is how I can parent this child. As a teacher, this is how I can teach to this child. So they're more likely to be the best with their potential. And I think that that's challenging when you have attention challenges because, and I hear this a lot, right? Like they can focus on their games, right? But they can't pay attention to this. And that's very true because with ADHD, they can hyper focus.
But also there's a lot of chaos going on in the games most of the time.
Yes. Well, and then there's, right? Think in terms of motivation. Motivation is very real. Like, if you wanted me to hyper focus on this thing over here that I really could care less about, and you're asking me to attend to it, it's like, oosh, do I really want to do that? So, no motivation, no interest, things like that, that can be really challenging, I think, for most of us. So again, we're looking at what is typical for most of us. And this is the nice thing as adults is we can move towards careers or activities and hobbies that have high interest and motivation for us. So therefore more likely to be successful in those areas versus not. Whereas a lot of times, kids, going through school, the K-12 system, there's going to be some things that are more interesting than others. Even in college, we might see the, general education. They may have less interest in some of those general education, but high interest in their selected areas of major and so forth, which allows us to be more successful in those ways. But it can be really challenging in those others. And I think that then lends to what you were saying, which is they may not be performing as well in the way that they're being graded. Is it I'm lazy, I'm not attending, what have you, and all of those things. And that's where I see it gets a little bit worrisome that I want to watch out for, which is low self-esteem, depression, anxiousness, because especially we'll see teens be at high risk for substance use, other ways to try to manage those feelings or symptoms. Yeah. I feel like I just said a lot. I started and I couldn't stop myself.
It was great.
I was waiting for it. And so anyways...
Guys, I say so and anyways all the time, and I need to stop. And so I'm not going to do that.
What are you going to do
instead?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes with that, so anyways, it's sort of like a big eye roll to what I just said.
Most of the time it is.
It is. I know. I feel it.
Don't worry, I zoned out while you were talking again.
So we do need to entertain you and really keep your attention.
Like, I heard what she said, but, like, I was for sure staring at the floor over there.
I think you and I can talk clinically about this all day long.
All day long.
And I can all day long.
But not everybody wants to hear the clinical lingo, and I get that. So we're trying to, keep it real. But then the other thing is, who's to say you're not going to be just like us in 2 years? Post-practicum, post-internship.
You're going to be so clinical.
Yeah.
How are you going to try to keep it real?
I don't know. What do you mean? How am I going to try and keep it real? I feel like we just switched to a whole nother topic. What?
Oh.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
I see this.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. Wait. How would we? Okay, because I feel like we have been a little bit clinical lingo with attention. How do you keep it real? Like, if you were going to talk to somebody, like one of your peeps, about attention issues.
Get out of here.
Back to the Gen X lingo that we don't use anymore.
Just keep throwing them out there. It's so great.
I told you.
She's going to say she's going to get jiggy with it next.
Okay.
Anyways.
So the question.
I'm so predictable.
Getting back to it.
about like ADHD. You see, you keep asking me like specifically about like what I see. And I feel like we don't talk about it or like notice it. We just experience it and don't really put much thought to it.
Like it just is a thing.
Yeah.
Was it common for you growing up? Was ADHD a thing? Like people just had it?
And you just didn't talk about it. Because that can be really,
Yeah.
I like that. I think that can be really helpful. Like it's just how this person
I will
rolls.
say now, like the younger generations, I feel like they do talk about it because I feel like they like labels now.
They like labels. So they like labels. And do you feel like this sometimes that our symptoms are used as an excuse? Like, oh, well, that's
Yes.
just my ADHD.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I'm not okay with that.
I did meet a guy in college who was like, well, yeah, it's because of my ADHD. And I did sit there and have a 20-minute argument with him.
Oh, tell us about this argument.
He was basically, okay, what happened? I don't know. He was supposed to go do something for his friend, but in the process, he was like going to go do something else also, but he was supposed to make the stop because the stop was along the way.
Okay. So
I
he
don't
was
know.
supposed to go from point A to point B to point C.
Yes, but
Okay.
instead he basically went from point A, went completely around point B to point C. But also it was very much because he flat out didn't want to do it for his friend.
Rude.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole thing. He just didn't want to do it. And he told his friend prior to it that he didn't want to do it. And it was like picking up food or something.
And so
he was like, oh, well, I just forgot because I have ADHD. And I'm like, you just sat there and were like, yeah, I didn't want to do it. But now you're like, no, it was just my ADHD.
And so, yeah, because that's not an attention issue.
No.
That's I didn't want to do it, somehow got pressured into saying yes, even though I was trying to say no.
I don't know
And so
that
I'm
he
just
got
not going to
pressured
follow
say
through
yes.
because I said no. You didn't listen to me. So I said yes, but I'm still not going to do it.
I don't know that he ever said yes. I think there is more to the story that I'm just not remembering because it was like 4 a.m. when this conversation went down. But
Oh,
it was one of my late night cracktivities.
okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Cracktivities?
Yeah, you might need to be clear because I don't know that crack was involved.
Apparently, according to the Urban Dictionary, cracktivities means to go sell crack. That's not what I was doing, guys. It was basically like crackhead hour, and we were out and about doing random things.
Okay.
Yes.
So this was like their college sort of slang term.
That's just what me and one of my friends made up.
Okay.
That's not a common phrase.
Okay.
Yeah, that they just sort of went out and about
Okay.
doing silly stuff in the middle of the night.
Okay.
But to be clear, no crack
No.
has ever been involved.
Stop bringing it up. I have to make this an explicit episode if you keep saying it.
Oh. So coming back. So again, sometimes people like to blame or use a diagnosis when it really has either nothing to do with it or it's really a lack of personal accountability. Right? Because even if I have attention challenges, right? Even if I am forgetting things or I am focused on things instead of completing other things, it's ultimately my responsibility to remember to do these tasks. I can't just say, oh, I forgot. That's my attention span. My bad. Like I can
I
say,
remembered the rest of the story.
okay, tell us.
So basically, he did go to point B. He went to point B for some of his other friends and got what they wanted from point B, and then just neglected to get what his other friend wanted.
So he was there.
He was there, and he just chose not to.
And he just chose not to.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with attention issues.
No.
However, our conversation may be a really good example
Guys,
attention
my brain was
challenges.
going. I was trying to figure it out because that story just was like all over the place and it wasn't adding up and I knew it was wrong.
Okay.
But you got it. You figured it out.
We got
you.
it.
And now apparently I have attention problems.
Well, I don't think
sorry.
this is news for our viewers that either
Sorry,
of
I
us.
just didn't want to hear you talk anymore.
Anyway,
That could be fair, too.
Back to what you were saying.
So, I mean, I think we talked about using, how to recognize what's happening within ourselves, but yet being accountable for that and understanding how our brain learns, how we function, and finding our own sort of tips and tricks, how we can be most successful versus making excuses for ourselves.
yes. Yeah.
We can do some takeaways. As a guest, what have you taken away from this episode aside from we're crazy?
The fun-loving kind of crazy, not the diagnosable crazy, of course.
Entertaining is the word I would use personally. Thank you for the front seat. It's been very fun.
Front seat to the podcast and how we roll, or to the attention challenges?
To the interactions. They're great. It's great. Thank you very much. So my takeaways? I don't know what my takeaways are. It shows up everywhere. It's at school. It's at home. It's with friends. Don't use it as an excuse. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
There's so much more clinically that we haven't even covered. But that's okay. Because it's not about the clinical part. It's about the actual impact part.
Yeah.
It's my takeaway.
I think my takeaway is just sort of the individualness of how this can show up for the person who's experiencing it, but then also who has the attention challenges, but then also for the people who have somebody in their world who has the attention challenges. And so whether you're a parent, whether you're a partner, the child, the teacher, whatever, but how is that showing up? And so it's so individual with each of those, and just the wanting the individual to know how amazing they can be, that this doesn't have to define them. They just have to figure out how it works and how they can sort of turn it into a superpower for themselves. What are your takeaways, Victoria?
I really don't have any. I feel like you guys, you killed it.
We killed it?
You covered all of it. Yeah.
We did?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Are you blanking out right now?
No.
Okay.
I swear I'm not. My brain's just not going back to pull out major takeaways,
Well, you will after you are editing it, watching this 3 times over, and drinking your extra coffee.
All right. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and joining us. And we always are open to hearing ideas for future episodes, and comment in the sections. And thanks for being with us.
And thank you, Anne.
Yes.
Thank you both.
All right. Goodbye.